Moin, this is World War II in LEGO. I'm Erwin, and welcome to Building North Africa in Micro Brick Battle Part 3. Yeah, that's 3. For some weird reason, I've just lost all connection to, numbers in my hand. I do not know why, but we're just gonna leave it at that. But so anyway, so last week we focused on basically just planning out the entire map and what it's gonna look like, and possibilities changes and to the map itself because it might be cramped and stuff like that. And now slowly over to the course of this week and this past week, I've just started realizing that the actual micro brick battle tanks are a bit bigger than I thought, so I might have to cut down on the vehicle numbers, but I'm going to try to keep it as interesting as possible. But so anyway, so this week what we're just going to focus on is more or less building up the groundwork. So we're going to bring everything up to more or less brick level is what I'm going to call it. It's basically the lowest point of the mock, so we're going to build up the scaffolding and all the plates and stuff, so that next week we can start on that. We're also going to work on basically just showing where the hills are going to go for all the contours and stuff like that with studs. We're just basically going to be laying down the groundwork so that next week we can start maybe on building the hills and all that different stuff. So without much further ado, let's just head to the table over here, which we just got a table. So just to really quickly explain to you what brick level actually is before I can start building. So you see this basically stack of 2x4 bricks with a 1x2 sand green plate. Yeah, it's sand green. So basically where the sand green plate sits, it's exactly at this mock's brick level, or more or less where the edge is. So I want to line everything up with this edge at its lowest point, and it can go higher than that. That's basically above brick level. So what we need to do is we need to build scaffolding so that it just reaches basically the height of these 2x4 red bricks. And so then next week we can basically go over and with tan plates basically build it up to brick level right here. So that's what we just need to do. We also need to form the outline of basically the Oasis in this corner right here, and that's more or less it, besides also putting down the contours of basically where the hills are supposed to go, and maybe put in outlines of tanks and tank tracks just to see how everything is just going to fit inside this mock. So I think it probably should be about time to do a time lapse. So really quickly before I go to bed, I just finished off building the actual scaffolding for the mock itself. So this is all the under layers before we actually get to real layers that you see. So I noticed a problem when I was building. So it turns out that edge is about 2 studs above this thing right here. And so that's a problem because I'm just going to stack one plate high, more or less. And so that means that it's going to be one plate lower. I really don't care, honestly, because I don't feel like taking apart this entire thing and having to rebuild again. So I'm just going to let it be, just let it sit there. I'm going to ignore it for this mock. Maybe I'll learn next time what I need to do, actually, for future mocks, but yeah, that's basically it. So tomorrow I'm probably going to hit this up and really quickly finish off all the outlines and stuff and wrap this video up. It's now morning. I'm going to get straight to work, more or less, on finishing up the entire hill work and also the tank tread work. And I keep on looking at this hole that's supposed to be where the water, more or less, the Oasis is supposed to go. I'm going to use like blue studs. And the more I look at how small of an area it is, the more I'm realizing maybe I shouldn't build an Oasis, but I really need to, because I need to practice that. So probably what I'm going to do is I'm instead going to put the edge of an Oasis. I'm going to move the edge from here over to here now, and I'm going to put in some palm trees because I really had an excellent idea for palm trees and I wanted to use them. So I'm going to put them in this mock, and we're just going to put it over here. We're probably going to put in several different layers and all that different stuff just to make it a bit more hilly over here. But yeah, that's what we're going to do. And then for the rest of the stuff, we're just going to start working on basically just the layers of the hill. You'll see what I mean pretty soon. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to cover the hill, where the hill is supposed to be in studs, so that next week I can get to the studs and start forming the outline and stuff like that. So that's basically what we're going to do. I think I need to do another time lapse again. So here's what we've got so far after a bit of building. So more or less we got the general shape of the tanks for each type of tank. So we got the Grant over here, we got an M4 Sherman, M4 Sherman, M4 Sherman. We got basically what I'm going to assume is a Crusader outline because Brickmania does not have a Crusader. And I've seen several images on the internet, and so I'm going to take the inspiration from there and build my own Crusader. But so more or less this is the outline of a Cromwell. They were more or less similar in size if I remember correctly, so I'm going to use that as basically the placeholder. And then over here, got an outline for a Panzer III, Panzer III, Panzer III. We got a Tiger, and then we got a Karl Veloce. So more or less, this mock is kind of getting a bit crowded here. I think what we want to do is we're going to remove one Panzer III and one M4 just to uncrowd the mock a bit. I think it's going to be good positioning. And why don't you come over here? Okay. Now then, that feels a bit less crowded, and that feels like maybe that would be more possible, seeing that beforehand all tanks are a bit closer. So that's it. More or less, we got a hill outline, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers of bricks to work on, plates, I mean, to work on for next week, and that's pretty nice. So basically, for this hill, what I wanted to do was I wanted to do the philosophy of basically, it's kind of like a telephone game, a game of telephone, where each time you go up a layer, you want it to be more and more or less translated from the first layer. So at the point where you get just basically like this type of blob all the way from this. That's basically more or less how you want your hills to look like. It's going pretty good for me. I maybe want to do the outline of the edge of the Oasis a bit better. I did that a bit too overly done. And probably what I got for the between now and next week is I probably gotta work on the tank treads. But otherwise, I think that's basically it for this week. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep on building.